Finally, a ray of light in a dark story of shocking teen violence. A 15-year-old girl in Florida who was nearly beaten to death at a bus stop is slowly getting better. Josie Radley has been in a coma since the savage attack 3 weeks ago. We are so thrilled here on Issues to hear that she is now able to breathe on her own and open her eyes. Yay!
Right now, she's able to move her right side a little bit, which I was really concerned about that because there was no movement at all. And of course, she's moving the left side, and she's opening her eyes, but she's not actually focused on anything yet, and she doesn't follow commands yet. But she's getting there.
Police say a 15-year-old boy viciously beat Josie outside her school. He allegedly kicked her head over and over with his steel-toed boots. Despite Josie's signs of improvement, her mom is still in a cloud of shock and horror.
When I'm home, you know what I do? I cry and I stay in bed. That's what I do. And I pray that my baby come back to me the way she was when she left my home that day.
That poor woman. What could push a child to commit such horrific violence? In this case, it may have been the suspect's traumatic family life. Did he ever get the help he needed to cope? The boy's attorney joins me tonight, and we're taking your calls. 1-877-JVN says. That's 1-877-586-7297. I want to welcome back psychiatrist Dr. Dale Archer. Also, bullying survivor Jody Blanco, author of Please Stop Laughing at Me, and Russell Williams, the attorney for the 15-year-old suspect. We're not identifying the boy because he's currently charged as a juvenile. Mr. Williams, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
What has your client, the teen suspect, said about this attack?
He doesn't really remember a lot, but he's very remorseful. The second I walk in, the first thing that he says to me is, "How's she doing?" He doesn't really have any updates, so he's very... he cries all the time, and he just really can't answer the why questions.
The 15-year-old suspect's dad has been arrested, get this, are you sitting down, nearly 50 times in Florida. He bounced in and out of prison for 20 years, everything from drug dealing to weapons charges. The suspect's older brother was more like a father to him. That's until last October, when this teen found his brother's body hanging from a tree. Police say just before the attack, Josie sent him a text message referring to his brother's suicide, and the boy allegedly replied, referring to Josie, "I'm coming over there and I'm going to snap your neck." After the beating, he allegedly sent this text to a friend: "Well, I guess I'm going to prison. I almost killed somebody," end quote. Russell Williams, there's a lot of people who are very skeptical about remorse after the fact and compassion after the fact. But I do want to ask you, did your young client ever get therapy in the wake of the suicide of his older brother? Was he ever diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder over his older brother's suicide?
No, and that, by the way, happened on his birthday. He was on his way to a birthday party. They saw his brother's car. They saw some paramedics. They approached the area. They saw his brother hanging from a tree right by the car. 2 days he grieved, and then his mom asked if he was okay, if he wanted to get counseling. The school was willing to help him with counseling, and he said, "No, I'm fine." And as we know now, unfortunately, apparently he wasn't.
But, okay, what about the other parent? What about the mom? I mean,
the mom she's a loving mother. His stepfather is a super nice guy. They were very protective over him. They even let their brother, because he was going through a divorce at the time, move back into the house. And you were right. He was a de facto father to him because his real father was never around.
I just don't understand why this kid didn't get therapy, why the parental units didn't insist that since he saw his older brother hanging from a tree on his birthday, that he didn't immediately get intensive therapy. A kid is not going to get over that on his own.
I believe that I think education would really lend people to have somebody go into therapy to understand the process a little bit better. I don't think that the parents, and I'm not saying this in any condescending way, were that educated. They believe that the boy was okay. He's smart, was running straight A's. He was taking Japanese as a language, so he was brilliant, and they didn't see what was coming, whereas maybe a more educated family may have seen it coming, have more options open to them.
Dr. Dale Archer, do you buy it?
Well, I think that whenever you look at teen violence, you have to look at the big picture, and there are 4 things that go into it. Number 1, the culture of violence that permeates our everyday world.
Absolutely.
Number 2, the school system. Number 3, the parents and the family. And finally, the child itself. So I think in this particular case, the brother was a father figure to him. That was his stability. And the dad was in jail, as you said, almost 50 times. So when that stability is ripped away from you in a violent act, self-induced act such as suicide, the trauma is just unestimable. So there's not a doubt in my mind that this boy was grieving inside and no one was there to recognize it.
Yeah, but Jody Blanco, this is all after the fact. Where was this young man's remorse and compassion when he was allegedly stomping on this girl's head 7 times with his steel-toed boots? Now she needs to go into therapy to have part of her skull replaced, Jody.
I think the problem is, and again, it always comes back to the same question. Where are the adults? Number 1, I feel bad for all the kids involved here. Compassion isn't taught in the home. It's not reinforced in the schools. And I think that our kids are suffering from something I call empathy deficit disorder, a lack of empathy. And where was the school and the counselors? If they knew this kid was in such dire straits, where were the counselors insisting to the parents, you need to get this child help? Rage is not something that's always hidden. Typically, on a daily basis, if there's a child that's teeming with rage, someone has to see something. A friend at school, a classmate. Did anyone not see anything? Because now we have a suffering girl who's an innocent victim. And in this case, the perpetrator was a victim of circumstances, too, though I don't excuse his actions at all.
You've seen how devastated Josie's mom is, and for good reason. Listen to what she said about the suspect and his family.
I would have liked to heard them to tell Josie that they are sorry, you know, and the boy to say that he was sorry also, you know, that what he's done was awful. That, you know, I mean, I don't know what's going to come out of this, and I don't know how to feel as far as they go, or he does, but I don't know. I think they need God. That's all I can say. They need the Lord.
Russell Williams, does your client, the teenage suspect accused of this head stomping, want to apologize to the victim, Josie, and her mom?
Well, I really can't answer that question because, as you know, he has the right to remain silent, and anything that he would say would be used against him. The family obviously has spoken to me at length about wanting to reach out to the parents, to the mom, and I said no. I had yesterday in court, I actually did extend my sympathies to the attorney, Mr. Friedman. Spoke to him for a little bit and wanted to let him know that the family is thinking and praying for Josie as well, as is my client.
You know, that attorney, Mr. Friedman, has said it's got to be more than just locking up another kid and throwing away the key. And that's one of the reasons we're talking about this, is that we need a bigger solution. I personally have recommended group therapy in public schools, and it's starting to seem a little less crazy, Russell Williams, than it did when I first suggested it.
I think that's a great idea. I think in today's culture, and I have 2 boys, so I mean, I think in today's culture, with the way things are going, the internet, texting, I think that teachers need to have training. I think counselors need to be more aware. Parents need to be more aware. So I think everybody needs to be more aware of what's going on out there.
Thank you. Fantastic panel. Our thoughts are with this poor girl. We hope she makes a complete recovery.